Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation here on BRT TV. My name is Jan Ghazi, and in the studio today I have a new friend, a brand new guest, and we were introduced by somebody who's been on my programme many times. We all know her as the Angel of Tulips, Sue Tilt. And Sue Tilt recently got in contact with us here at BRT, and she said you must interview a very special guy. His name is Pete Colledge, and he'll be running the London Marathon in aid of 3 charities. So we've got a very interesting show lined up, and we're going to help Peter as much as we can. So first of all, Peter, welcome to the programme.
Hello.
We've only just met, literally about half an hour ago, and I've heard about you via Sue Tilt. She said come along and interview Peter. Let's find out more about you first before we talk about the actual thing you're going to be doing. Now, Peter, where are you from originally?
From England, from the northeast.
From the northeast?
Yeah, northeast of England.
And how long have you been here in North Cyprus?
5.5 years now.
5.5 years. But you've got a very interesting story. Yeah. Now, your background is military background.
Yes, that's correct.
Your father was in the military.
That's correct.
And in fact, you said to me that you spent nearly 2 years as a child living on the island of Cyprus.
I did, yes. Down in the south side in Decalia Garrison.
How old were you then when your father was stationed here?
I lived there when I was 5, and we left there just over, when I was just close to 6.5. So about 18 months we lived there.
Do you have any recollection of that time in your life? Maybe were you too young?
No, all the childhood memories I've got, I would predominantly say 90% were from Cyprus.
Really?
Yeah, walking to school in the mornings, seeing the snakes, pomegranates in the trees, oranges. I never saw that in the UK, never. And from then I had fond memories of it, and I never forgot them.
Never got them. The beautiful trees, like you said, the exotic fruits made for you back then when you were just 5 or 6. So then you went back to the UK.
Yep.
You actually have your own military background, don't you?
That's correct, yes.
What happened when you left school?
Well, I left school, I went and did a few little jobs, as you do when you leave school, as young school leavers, but my mind was always set on the military, ever since I was a young lad. And I finally got into the military when I was 18 years old. I knew that's what I wanted to be. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I know how I wanted my life mapped out. And thankfully I achieved what I set out to do. So I spent 22 years in the military.
In what service?
In the army.
In the army?
Yeah, doing logistics. So
you went around, obviously you've probably been around the world.
I have, yes. Many countries.
Many countries. And then, as we just heard, a few years ago you decided to settle back in Cyprus. You unfortunately lost your father, but you said your father's dream was to come back to Cyprus, although you never did. Yeah. Did you always think yourself that you'd come back to Cyprus one day and even settle down here? I mean, what was the connection there? I
never ever thought in a million years I would settle here. Never thought. But once I left the military, I had my own business. That was quite successful. And then the stresses of that, I thought, no, I need to do something less stressful because it was affecting my work-life balance. So I decided to work helping other people out, which is working in Africa and the Middle East. And then I got the bug of travelling, I always had. And then we've come to Cyprus on a few holidays, and my fiancée at the time was now my wife, and my children. We sat down one day talking over a cup of tea. He says, why don't we live here? It's a beautiful country. I remember it fondly. And my children, first thing they said, can we live here? And that was it sealed. So we start the process of moving over, and that's how it all come around.
Now, your children are quite young. You have a 13-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter.
That's right, yes.
And they actually go to state school. You're living in Karşıyaka at the moment, yeah? And we're going to find out more about the links to all the charities that you're supporting. But you said to me off air that you wanted them to get natural education, state education, mixing in with the local children, and your children are very happy.
They're very happy, yes.
Your daughter goes to Karşıyaka Primary School?
That's correct, yes.
And your son goes to the
YSL.
Secondary School. And no problem with fitting in,
no problems
language barriers or anything like that?
Initially, when we first put my son in, when we come on a holiday, believe it or not, my son said we live near where we rented a place near the school, and we went as a tester. We put him in the local school for a week. We spoke to the teachers. They went, they welcomed him open arms. So we spent his 2 weeks holiday, a week of that, at school. And he liked it so much, that was the ceiling for us to say, let's move here, because he enjoyed it. So we moved over a few months later and then straight into the same school.
Because, to be honest, I mean, going to a foreign country and starting at a school where, in the state school, not many of the kids maybe know English, and they didn't know Turkish then. But I think now you're saying that, you know, your daughter, she feels that she's Cypriot.
Yeah, she feels she's Cypriot. If there was a friend of mine was talking to her in Turkish about 3-4 weeks ago, and he says, "Oh, you're from England?" She went, "No, I'm Cypriot." And it took us by shock because she classes herself as Cypriot. She spent most of her life here.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's only 7 years old, and she speaks, reads, writes fluid, well, not fluid at the moment, but she's a very high standard of Turkish.
Excellent.
That's really good.
She can teach you soon.
She does, yeah. It's funny because they both get on brilliantly together, and they talk in Turkish to each other. My wife understands a lot of Turkish. Unfortunately, I don't. And they all laugh, and I'm thinking they're talking about me, and I don't know half the things they're saying. I pick up on certain things. Yeah,
you have to get a dictionary out and start learning what the words are that they're saying about their dad.
Yeah.
Now, Peter, the reason why you're here today is that you're doing a very commendable thing. You are going to enter the London Marathon later on this year, and you are raising money for 3 TRNC causes.
That's right, yes.
You are going to be raising money for Tulips, which is the English branch, or actually the Helpless Cancer Association, also for the Tashkent Nature Park, and also for the Karşıyaka Turtle Watch.
Correct.
Now, how did this idea come about? Before you talk about the actual charities, why the London Marathon? What is the spur for the London
story
Marathon?
behind it? 2 years ago, I got seriously ill with chest problems, and in the end, my wife took me to the state hospital in Gurney, and I had to get help to take into hospital. That's how serious it was. I couldn't walk. And when I got in there, the doctor diagnosed me. Obviously, I had injections, there was drips put in, and all the oxygen masks put on. And you start to worry about your life a little bit when that happens. And then the doctor said, if you had left it 1 more hour, you wouldn't be here, you would have died. And that was my wake-up call. So during the recovery process, I started thinking about obviously changing my lifestyle, what caused the problem. We still don't know to the day what caused it. And then I had spent 4 months recuperating, walking and getting fitter as much as I can. And then, unfortunately, the following year, which was last year, it come back, but not as bad. So now we're thinking weather-related, because obviously the weather differences. And then this year I knew it was something different. But last year, whilst I was waiting and recovering, I was watching the London Marathon. Like, I've always been a fit person. I've done many half marathons. And I watched it. And then on the bottom of the screen, come up, to enter next year's marathon, follow this link. So I did. And then entered the ballot. And then I forgot about it, to be honest. And then I got an email in October saying, congratulations, you're now entered into the London Marathon. So the first thing I thought was, oh dear. Second thing I thought, how am I going to tell my wife? And I actually kept it a secret from my wife for 3 days, building up the courage to try and explain to her how this is going to happen. So I knew what the reaction was going to be. It was going to be, why are you doing this? But it's always been on my bucket list. 15 times I've tried to enter the London Marathon, and 14 times I got rejected. This one time I got accepted.
Now, I didn't know this, and I just found out from you, because I assumed that anyone who wanted to enter the London Marathon could, you know, you apply and you get in. But you just said now that you apply and then there's a random selection process, so you might get selected and you might not. And you said for 14 times you were rejected, and then in October you got the final. So 2020 is your year then for the London Marathon. As you said before, you didn't. You've done some half marathons, so you know how to enter, you know, to be fit, to run, to get yourself trained. But this is the first time a full marathon.
Full marathon, first time.
And so it took you 3 days to tell your wife. What was her reaction when you told her? Her
reaction, I won't say on air, but it wasn't quite favourable. It was, why?
Why?
Why are you doing this? And that's what it was. It was a case of, it's something I've always wanted to do. And she knows I've always been wanting to do this. And then after a few silent moments, she says, well, you've got to start training. And she has fully backed me ever since.
And we now have 3 very important reasons why you're doing the marathon. You'll be going to the marathon when's the actual date of the marathon?
It is 26th of April.
So really now, I mean, we're in February. This is not long to go for the 26th of April. So to make it even more special for you, it's on your bucket list. You want to do the London Marathon. You're in now. You've been accepted. 3 charities, not 1, not 2, but 3 charities. So tell us about the charities one by one, why you wanted to support these charities in particular.
Yeah. Well, the first one, Untitled Chapter Watch. My wife, she's actually a volunteer with them, as well as my daughter during the school holidays in the summer months. She volunteers as well. And I've been out helping them. I've seen the turtles from hatchlings going through the process to them coming back in and nesting. So I've seen the full cycle of what they do. But when you watch the people, the dedication that they've got and what they do, it actually, people don't see that side of it. But I do, because obviously my wife sees it first. And they're a small charity. Very little people know about them. Yeah. And I thought, they do raise a lot of money, but that helps to support the animals and the welfare and any equipment that they need. And I thought, it's a worthwhile cause. And it's something that I think needs to be promoted. So that's the reason why I chose that. Apart from the wife being there, that was by the by. But I've seen what they do. Second one was Tashkent. Tashkent work alongside all the nature charities in the north. Mm-hmm. And I know Martin, who's the coordinator, and I spoke to him once that I want to help out as much as I can, and I'm going to do the London Marathon. And he went, oh, good. He says, I've been to Tashkent. I've looked around there. I've seen the rehabilitation process and all the animals up there and what they do. And I thought, that go line in line with Untitled Turtle Watch. And I thought, again, it's another charity, it's a worthwhile cause, and it's again promoting their charities. And that's why I decided them. And finally, tulips. Unfortunately, my mother died when I was 18 years old through cancer. And then my father died 3 years ago through cancer itself. Previously, over the last 15, 20 years, I've raised money predominantly for cancer, along with other charities. And I've always said I would always continue to do that. When I sat down, it was a case of the family sat down one night, we put a DVD on, watched the DVD, and says, right, what charities? So we all wrote a list out of the worthy causes of charities in the north, mm-hmm. And it wasn't a pick out, it was a case of, look at that one there, what they do, and I said straight away, the first one in my mind was tulips. I've seen what they do, yeah. I know what they do, I know in UK they get funded really heavily, but over here, they're funded quite a lot, but that's mainly for the treatments, and that's what it needs. It's the treatments that the people need. And I thought that's perfect course. So that's why I chose it.
You also said to me off air that you wanted to make sure that any money you raise, every sterling or Turkish lira, goes to the charities that you want to support, because sometimes in other charities there are administrative costs, or maybe even in the UK, you donate money, but certain percentage goes to the charities, certain goes to administrative costs, or the charity itself not really giving it to the people who need it. So you wanted to make sure that 2 things: the whole money that you raise goes to the charity that you want, and also that it's a local charity here, the RNC.
All the charities are solely North Cyprus, the RNC, yeah. And every kurush or every single Turkish lira will get split 3 ways between the charity. Mm-hmm. That is set in stone. There's no administration costs come out. All the administration costs to get me there has all been funded by myself or kind donations. Yeah. So that's not going to be taken out. There's no administration costs whatsoever. Obviously, the people who put the money into the crowdfunding page in UK, that will get transferred, but I do know that when you donate to crowdfunding, they tell you straight away there is a administration cost for them, but you can pay the extra to get that alleviated. But that's the personal choice. Yeah. And so obviously once and I know the crowdfunding page closes on the 8th of May, which is about 2 weeks after the event, and then it will be transferred over to you, and it will be donated between the 3 charities.
Excellent. We were talking again about the Untitled Turtle Watch, which your wife supports, and that's a really big thing in that area, because we all know about Alagadi and Karpaz and the nesting sites for the turtles. Untitled Watch came to prominence a few years ago with lots of nesting sites there. And you were saying that you filmed a video that went viral of, you also dive, don't you?
Yes, I'm a diver, yes.
And you filmed the video of the hatchlings or the turtles going into the water, and that went, quite popular on the internet. Yeah.
I mean, basically what it was me and my friend who's a diver, and it was literally 10 o'clock in the morning, and my wife phoned me, said we're doing a release later on today. And I just said, wouldn't it be a good idea if we could film it? And she obviously spoke to Jenny Tyler, who said, yeah, go ahead. So it was like a mad rush around to get our diving kit together, get the cameras together. My friend, he did the beach scenes and put it all together afterwards. And I went into the water. As the hatchlings was released, they were swimming towards me. And we put about a 30-40 second video together. We put it on the web page, then we watched it, and finally it was reaching nearly 3,000 likes. So that actually took us by storm, because we were thinking, really? I said that, but that was literally just an ad hoc thing. And I said to my friend afterwards, if we had plenty of time to plan it more, we could do a proper small mini documentary on it. Yeah. Obviously, since then, it's not happened because obviously the season finished. But
something for the future, maybe.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
And I know that at Güzelyalı, a couple of months back, they had the Tashkent Nature Park. They had a rehabilitated turtle, Astrid.
Astrid, yeah.
And she was released near where you live, Güzelyalı, and I couldn't go that day to the release, but I saw online that they were following her, they're tracking her, and she's swam to Syria, to Egypt, and that's an amazing thing. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of good work being done out there.
That's fantastic.
For various charities. So the money that you raise from your London Marathon, split exactly 3 ways between the 3 charities, yes. And you've got your T-shirt now with all of them. So you've gone green and yellow with your T-shirts. Is this what you're going to be wearing? A similar thing on the actual marathon? This
is my training T-shirt, as I'm going to call it. Yeah. And then for the actual marathon, I will be wearing the vest, which is exactly the same design, but it's a vest. Everything's information's on there and all that.
So you're training now at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we train? What is your? You've had a military background. You've done half marathons before, so you're quite fit. You know the rules and what you have to do. But are you now into that training mode? How are you training? How often do you train?
At the moment, I will call it 100% training now. So it's literally your diet's got to change. Obviously, everybody likes a nice to have a relax and have a beer now and again. The beer stopped completely from about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So that helps me out, and now it's more hydration with water and the isotonic drinks I use when I'm running. And now it's a case to start off with, because unfortunately I had a setback with my chest infection. So I've been training on the hills to get the strength back, and then as from probably next week I'll be hitting the roads, because I've got to work out the terrain for the London Marathon and do my training geared to that. Obviously, because the London Marathon is pretty flat, so there's no point running up hills if you're going to do a marathon that's flat. Yeah. So as from probably next week, maybe the week after, you'll probably see me running from Alsancak through Karjak, or through that into Karjak and vice versa. So that's how it starts, and it'll be time training. It won't be mileage, it'll be timed.
And you also have the wonderful Lapta coastal route, which maybe in the future, with the weather gets a little bit better, warmer, you can maybe run along that or do that, because that's quite flat, easy to follow. When you train for a marathon, is it more about endurance? Because obviously the distance is important. You're not going there for becoming first, or it's not a race for you. No. It's the first time ever that you'll be in the London Marathon, so whatever you do time-wise, it's your personal best.
Yes, exactly.
But is it actually getting the stamina to complete the actual run?
The main thing to get, it's actually mind. Get in your mind that you're going to do it, which I've got that now in my mind. And then I train for a short distance. So my first initial goals, when I first started training about 6 weeks ago, was run 5 miles. Then run back 5 miles, then run 5 miles, then run 4 miles, then run 6 miles. So you're alternating the distances. My mindset for the marathon, I'll train for about 10 to 15 miles, that's it. Because I can't, it'd be difficult to train for 26 miles unless you're a professional athlete, that's what they do. Yeah. But your mindset is, you give yourself miniature goals. You look at the route, because the route's online anyway, you look at the route, right, I want to get there, that's a 5 mile point, get there, then your mindset changes. Second part of my next stage, get the next 5 miles, and it goes on until you cross the finish line. My aim is to run down the mile, hands held high, and at the end of it and go, I've done it. Yeah. That's all I want. And no time is no race for me. It's a case just to say that I've done it.
That is a very important thing, and as you said before, it's your bucket list. It's going to be ticked off in April. Is your wife warming now to this idea of you going into the marathon, now that you're doing it for great causes? What's the response like from people around you here? Are they rooting for you and saying, go for it, Peter?
Oh, the response has been fantastic. At the moment, I've kept it quite quiet, because obviously I've not been too well lately, and people looking at you thinking, he's not going to do it. And I've had so many people say, you won't be able to do it, you won't do it. To me, that's like dangling the carrot. Yeah. I know, if someone says I can't do it, I will go out my way to do it. So my wife, she's been a rock. She sorts my Facebook page out for me. She does the photographs. She's the one that kicks me out in the morning and says, "Get yourself out." She's the one that looks after me. So I've got to thank her for that, and she's fully supportive of it completely, and the children.
Yeah.
My little 7-year-old especially, she says, "Dad, let's go for a run. I'm going to train you for the marathon." And she runs about 20 metres and she stops. So she says, "Well, that's enough training for today." But it's a family thing now, and we're going out now. And when people meet me and see me, say, "Oh, you're doing the London Marathon," because they've seen it on my page, and they go like that. I go, "Oh." They went, "What time?" They all say, "What time do you want to do it in?" I said, "I just don't go for the time. I just want to do it." They go, "Okay," and then we explain why I'm doing it, and they all start to understand now.
So the next question is, obviously, how can we, as viewers now, here in the Charity or anyone abroad watching online, how can we help you? As you said, this is like the starting point for you now to actually share with everyone what you're doing. How can people support you? Will you be going around with sponsor forms, or is it, because I know that you have a page, and that's why I've kept my phone near me here. We've got Pete's London Marathon 2020.
Yes, that's correct.
That's your page that you've set up, and there's a GoFundMe crowdfunding link where we can support you online. But are you collecting sponsorship here now?
Yes, we are. We've got the sponsorship forms all signed up, ready and stamped. We will be going out, we'll eventually be going around the normal restaurants, bars, places like that. We're looking at probably holding, beginning of April, end of March, a charity night where we're going to ask kind businesses to donate prizes, if you want to call it prizes, which will be raffled off.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the money from that will go again towards the charity. So that's to be confirmed at the moment. We're going to try and find a venue. We've got one in mind, and hopefully we're going to speak to them this week, because they've been very helpful in the past. And if it goes ahead, we'll promote it on the page and hopefully through BIRAC as well. Yeah. And we'll get it sorted.
Well, let us know about the event nearer the time so we can help you with that promotion. Do you have any idea about how much money you want to raise? I know it's a very difficult question to answer because you don't know at the moment. You haven't really started collecting anything at the moment. But do you think to yourself, well, I would like to raise this amount of money, so when I divide it by, if it's like 100 TL, it's 33 for each charity. Is there a sort of bottom limit that you want to set for yourself, or you don't have anything like that at all?
I've set the crowdfunding page at £1,000. Because in the end I thought if I raise £1,000, that's £300 or £333 for each charity, which is a nice little sum. Ideally I'd like to raise £1 million, but whether that happens I don't think it will. But that's for the crowdfunder. So obviously when we go out and start doing the charity, we'll go at the collecting, if you want it, for better words. We're hoping to raise as much money as possible. I'm not going to set myself a limit, because if you set yourself a limit, it pressurizes you to do it. So my belief is, if the kind people give as much as they can, and if we raise £1,000, £1,000, £2,000, £10,000, it's all going to the good cause. And that's how I believe. I don't want to set myself limits. Ideally, I've got a limit in my mind I would like to achieve. In my eyes, would be about 10 to 12,000 lira. Yeah. Ideally. But if we achieve it, fantastic. If we don't, at least the charities are getting something. Yes,
I mean, at the end of the day, every kurush, every Turkish lira or sterling or pence makes a difference to each charity. No one should ever think, oh, what difference does it make if I raise that or not? Everything, drop by drop, it becomes an ocean. There's a Turkish saying, and it's important that every little thing counts. Your kindness, your donation via the London Marathon is something to be commended, and I think it's an amazing feat that you're going to be doing this and going to the UK, fulfilling your dream as well of going to the London Marathon. Is coming up slowly. Are you nervous about it at all now that you're now you're here speaking about it on television, and the date is going to creep up? We're in February, March, April, and that's it, you're going to be going off. How early will you be when will you fly out to the UK? Have you got dates set?
Yeah, flights booked, everything's all booked.
What date?
23rd of April I'm flying out, and I'm coming back on the 28th. So I've got a day recovery before flyback, which I'm going to need. I do know that from previous experiences.
Yes.
But yeah, that's all sorted, accommodation sorted, the pickups in the UK side have all been arranged. So it's a case of just getting to the airport on this side. Then it's off I go.
Is it, you've done half marathons, is it for you a really big thing? Is it so important? I mean, somebody who's been in the military, somebody who's kept fit most of their life, somebody who's done marathons, as you said before, is it the pinnacle for you? Is this like, you know, right, I've done it now, London Marathon, I will stop? Or is it going to be Boston next?
It's funny to say that when I entered the first, because I'm from the northeast, but you always look at the Great North Run, which is the biggest half marathon in the world. When I first, again, same situation, I tried to get in many, many years, never got in. Then one year I decided to do it for a charity. And I went, I've got to train for this. And I thought, I'm reasonably fit. I don't need to do as much training. It's 13 miles. I'm used to running that quite easily. So I did the first marathon and I struggled, or the first half marathon, I really struggled. And I went, if I get in next year, I'll train a bit more. Second year, unfortunately, I literally couldn't train because of my work, because I was working in Africa. Because obviously too hot to train there. And I went, come back. Again, still ran it, felt a bit better. The third time I did it, the following year, this time I trained for 4 months beforehand. Not full-time training, just as and when I could. When I ran the marathon, because I managed to get my wife to run it as well on the half marathon, as well as my father-in-law, my brother-in-law and his partner. And I went, this is the year that I feel good. And I ran it, and I finished the 13.2 miles, and I felt fantastic. I even said to my wife when I met her, I said, I could run back. That's how, because I trained. And I went, from that point there, every time I'm going to do something, train for it. The following year, I literally got off a plane 6 hours before the half marathon, and I ran it with no training. But I managed it. As I say, it's one of those things, you set yourself your goal, that's what I want to achieve, and that's what I'm doing. Whether I'll do another marathon, I'll let you know on the 28th of April.
When you come back?
Yeah, when I come back.
Let us know. Well, you deserve a break after that, definitely. Yeah. But I want to remind everyone again that you can sponsor Peter by going to his page. That's Pete's London Marathon 2020, and it's www.justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Peter-Colledge. Now, college is spelled differently than a normal school college. It's COLLEDGE.
Correct.
So you can find Peter on his Facebook page as well, Peter Colledge, and Peter's London Marathon. But I want to say thank you very much for coming in today, Peter.
Thank you.
Good luck with all the training. We'll be looking out for you training in the Alton Jack Lapta Koshaka area from now until when you leave in April. But well done for supporting such 3 great causes here in the Charities. We're lucky to have you as a friend here in North Cyprus. I'm sure we'll all be rooting for you, and we'll be looking out. Hopefully we'll see you in the London Marathon when the cameras wave to us and fly the flag for us. But congratulations on all that you do, and well done for all that you are doing now for the London Marathon. And I hope that, you know, at the end you'll take that off your bucket list and you'll be very proud that you've raised so much money for 3 worthy causes. Thanks a lot, Pete.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're more than welcome. And with that, we've come to the end of our interesting chat with Peter Colledge, wishing him well. Please do support him. If you see him around in the Charities Sea, give him some money, make that bucket swell, bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more money raised, the more money goes to Karashaka Turtle Watch, Tashkent Nature Park and Tulips. Until we meet again, go well. See you soon. Bye-bye.